Abby, it's Monday, and today we're here to talk about this book, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I really like this book. So the main character of this book is a kid named Simon. Obviously. Simon really likes Oreos, and he participates in high school theater, which is awesome, and he really likes Harry Potter. He makes a lot of Harry Potter references in this book, by the way, so, obviously he's, my favorite character, and I love him. Simon is gay, but he is closeted, and over the past few weeks, he's been swapping emails with this boy named Blue, and they're, kind of in love with each other, but they're not, actually dating. And they don't know each other's real names, because they both go to the same school and they're in the same grade, but, neither of them are out, and they don't want to, they're not ready for that, so they just use code names. Blue is Blue, obviously, and Simon goes by Jacques. One day, he is, emailing him on one of the school computers, but he forgets to log out of his email account, so the emails end up getting discovered by this kid named Martin. Martin is a nerd, but the popular kids like to laugh at some of the stupid stuff that he does, so Martin just decided to roll with it and, intentionally do stupid stuff when the popular kids are around, and because the popular kids use him as the butt of all their jokes, Martin sort of became popular as a result. Anyway, yeah, Martin finds the email, so he gets the brilliant idea to take screenshots of them and use them to blackmail Simon. Martin is a freaking great character. You see, Martin has a crush on one of Simon's friends, and get this, her name is Abby. So now Martin is asking Simon to help get this Abby girl to like Martin. So now Simon has to try and get his friend to like this guy that he doesn't even like, or else he will be outed to the entire school. And that's basically the plot. There's also a school play and stuff. Other characters include Simon's parents, who are obsessed with reality TV and also everything that Simon ever does ever. His older sister Alice, who is away at college and seems to be hiding something from the rest of her family. His younger sister Nora, who is kind of emo, but also not emo. It's really confusing and she barely ever does anything, but she does comfort Simon when he eventually comes out, so I kind of like her character. I just thought she was worth mentioning. The previously mentioned Abby, who is just really energetic and nice and understanding, and, honestly, she might be the best character in the entire book. It's kind of a toss-up between her, Simon, and Blue. Abby, just joined this school district at the beginning of the year, so she's, the newest addition to Simon's friend group, and he's been friends with his other friends, since kindergarten. Simon's other friends, Nick and Leah. Nick is this guy who, plays soccer, but he also plays guitar, so, swoon. And Leah is this artist girl with really low self-esteem, and she's really needy and constantly paranoid that her friends don't like her anymore, and she draws, a lot of gay fan art, and oh my god, she's literally just me. Nick, Leah, and Abby have this strange dynamic because Leah likes Nick likes Abby, and Abby is oblivious to the situation. So what'll happen is that Nick will start, flirting around with Abby at, lunch or something, and then Leah will get all upset, but then Nick and Abby will be like, Leah, why are you mad? We don't understand. And then Leah will get all even more angry about the situation, and she'll just walk away angrily. And then Nick and Abby will start complaining about how Leah's always doing this stuff, and then Simon's just kind of sitting there awkwardly watching this whole mess unfold and trying not to die inside. And finally, Blue, who is Simon's email boyfriend, lover person. Anyway, Blue is very grammatical, he gets nauseated very often, and he probably has social anxiety, and he's just this cute little bean, and I want to hug him, and I love him, and oh my god, does Simon love him. So, when I read the back of this book, I couldn't help but get a Will Grayson vibe, because, it's about a closeted gay kid who has a technology boyfriend, and the quote on the cover of the book, you can read it. It literally compares this book to the works of John Green, and this guy down here, the star of this book's movie adaptation, which is called Love, Simon, I was under the impression that this guy was Ansel Elgort, and Ansel Elgort is the guy who played Gus in the Tifios movie, But it turns out that it's not even Ansel Elgort at all. It's just some guy that I thought looks like Ansel Elgort, I guess. And I guess this book does have some stuff in common with John Green's books because it's got, like, similar character archetypes and themes. But, like, this book feels tonally different to John Green's books because I feel like John Green's books are less grounded in reality but more depressing, whereas this book was more grounded in reality and less depressing. And just the writing style itself never really reminded me of John Green's stuff. It's nothing like revolutionary, and I couldn't actually describe to you how it's different. It just didn't feel like a John Green book. However, this book does have one major thing in common with John Green's books, to the point where I think it may have been plagiarism. It's freaking amazing! Obviously, this book has a lot of really good representation for queer people, but not just for that, it also has a lot of good representation of people from different races, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, I personally can't relate to a lot of the stuff in here about, like, being gay and all that, but I imagine if you were gay, you would probably relate to it. The writing is awesome. The characters are freaking adorable. I want Simon and Abby as my best friends in my day-to-day life, and I want to give Blue a hug. Like, he doesn't even have to stay in my life as my best friend. I just want to, like, give him one really nice hug and then just be like, okay, baby boy, you're fine. Go live your life. Even the characters that I didn't really like as much, like Martin and Leah, I could still understand why they made some of the more questionable decisions that they did, so, like, I can't bring myself to completely hate them. Another thing this has in common with John Green's books is that this book has so many good quotes. Oh my god. So the way that Blue and Simon meet is that, like, the school has, like, an unofficial Tumblr, which is basically just the school's gossip place where you can, like, post whatever, and it's really trashy or whatever. The way they meet is that Blue makes a post on the Tumblr, and, like, can we just, like, talk about this quote where he talks about Blue's post? It just kind of spoke to me, and I don't even think it was just the gay thing. I don't know. It was seriously, like, 5 lines, but it was grammatically correct and strangely poetic and just completely different from anything I'd ever read before. I guess it was about loneliness. And it's funny because I don't really think of myself as lonely. But there was something so familiar about the way Blue described the feeling. It was like he had pulled the ideas from my head. Like the way you can memorize someone's gestures but never know their thoughts. And the feeling that people are like houses with vast rooms and tiny windows. The way you can feel so exposed anyway. The way he feels so hidden and so exposed about the fact that he's gay. I felt strangely panicked and self-conscious when I read that part, but there was also this quiet thrum of excitement. He talked about the ocean between people, and how the whole point of everything is to find a shore worth swimming to. I mean, I just had to know him. Like, oh my god, Okay, so, like, obviously that quote is, like, about being gay and feeling like how everyone can tell that you're gay or whatever, but, like, I personally relate to it just for social anxiety reasons, so, like, when I read that, I responded the exact same way that Simon responded to it. This in all caps. And there's also this wonderful quote about how Simon and friends think that homecoming is, like, really stupid and superficial and they don't want to have any part in it, but then once they put aside their reservations and just kind of try and have fun, even if they think it's dumb, they discover that they actually have a really nice time and it's a great night. Like, can we just show this to, like, every single person that's in my school? Like, this! Also, I don't know where else to put this in my script, so I'm just gonna say it here. In case you're wondering what the Homo Sapiens agenda in the title is, it's this running joke between Blue and Simon where they, like, conspire to make it so that straight people also have to come out, and it has to be just as awkward as it is for non-straight people, and, like, they're not wrong. As I mentioned earlier, this book has a movie adaptation called Love, Simon. And okay, like, I have not seen the movie, but I did read the plot summary on Wikipedia once, and, I have some complaints. First and foremost of which is, what the mother pheasant pluck did they do to my girl Leah in this movie? We'll just start with a minor complaint. In the book, Leah is described as being a bit heavier than the other characters, and I think that's part of why she has low self-esteem, but that was just an assumption on my part. Anyway, the girl in the movie is just, like, average weight. Also in the book, Simon's described as looking like Harry Potter because he has, like, black hair that goes all over the place and he has glasses. But, I guess for the movie, they just decided to go with Ansel Elgort ripoff guy, because they're like, hey, you saw The Fault in Our Stars, right? You liked that, right? Well, that was based off of a book, and this is based off of a book, and this movie, go watch this movie. Before we get to my main complaints about Leah, let's talk about Blue for a bit. So, like, in the book, the plot twist of who Blue was came very out of left field. Like, the character is established as, like, existing, and they're like mentioned a few times, but like they're mostly a background character until the very end when they're like, ha, surprise! In the movie, apparently Simon actually suspects that the guy might be Blue early on, but then he later dismisses it for a stupid cliche reason. Why would you do that? But now we come to the main event. The reason why I am probably going to never watch this movie, because the concept of this change just infuriates me. In the movie, they make it so that Leah isn't in love with Nick. She's in love with Simon. No! Okay, so I suppose they never explicitly say in the book that Leah didn't like Simon, but that's just really not what it came across to as me. What the book seemed to be implying is that not only was Leah in love with Nick, but she was also in love with Abby. So seeing her two crushes all lovey-dovey together, of course, made her really angry. And then also, because Abby is like a newcomer to their group and she just so seamlessly integrated herself into the friend group, Leah starts becoming paranoid that like Abby's like replacing her and she's like not good enough for her friends anymore, because remember, Leah has really low self-esteem. So then, Nick and Abby get together. Obviously, Leah's really mad about that. And then, Simon decides to come out to Abby first before any of his other friends, any of his family. So then, when Leah hears about that, all of the anger that she's been building up towards Nick and Abby just kind of explodes, and Simon ends up taking the blast, even though it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with him. It's more to do with Nick and Abby. Or at least that's how I chose to read it. As I said, they never outright confirm a lot of this, but Simon at least believes that Leah likes Nick. And Leah actually has her own sequel book to this one. I believe it's called Leah on the Offbeat or something like that. And I have been told that in that book, Leah's interest in Abby is confirmed. So I'm pretty sure that my interpretation is the correct one, but like, I haven't read Leah on the Offbeat, so I personally can't confirm that. But in the movie, they just took away all of the cool complexity of that situation and replaced it with the classic girl falls in love with best friend who ends up being gay, and then she gets mad at him for that, even though she has no right to be mad at him for that, but then she realizes that she has no right to be mad at him for that, so then they make up and be best friends again happily ever after. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Love Simon filmmakers? Why? Anyway, now that I'm done ranting about irrelevant stuff, I'm really bad at conclusions. This book is good. Read it. Abby, I will see you on Friday.